Poonam and I head up service management for Essentra. I'm going to talk through our journey from insourcing the service desk and what model we used and the reasons why we used it and how successful it was. Many companies I've seen do a lot around outsourcing, but I wanted to talk to you all specifically around insourcing and the benefits of it, because there isn't many case studies or as much available information around insourcing. So the reason why we were asked to insource the service desk was during a leadership conference in 2018. It was identified, although there'd been significant investment made into infrastructure, tools, and equipment, the perception around IT was still quite poor. From an outsourcer perspective, the outsourcer contractually were hitting their targets, their objectives, but when we reviewed annual colleague kind of engagement scores, they were quite low, and some of it was around business understanding, experience, and people really understanding what was required. Our outsourcer was based in one region. There was cultural probably challenges, as well as we know with when people working shift patterns that perhaps don't fit with their normal body clock around circadian rhythms and things like that. It does have an impact on productivity and output and the way in which they work. So we were asked to do this within a period of 6 months. So it was a very, very aggressive timeline. Scarlett, would you be able to move me to the next slide? Sorry. And what we did was set out a bit of a plan of action and had various streams. Those streams involved commercial and legal, property, people, process, and communication. So 6 months seems like a very short period of time, where a lot of outsourcers often have, 1.5, 2 years from contract negotiations to due diligence, to recruiting, to assessing and training. So it was a very aggressive timeline. And how we did it was establishing these 5 value streams within the project plan. We formed a steering committee, and throughout the project we completed periodic and scheduled kind of reviews on the structure, had meetings with each stream to ensure there was progression towards those aggressive timelines. And many risks and issues were highlighted within those streams and tried to be managed appropriately. There was a massive emphasis on how we enhance engagement and how those project objectives come to life with our colleagues. So we had lots of kind of tailored one-on-one sessions. We had people that were involved in the project. We had recognition to those people that were supporting that, and we had specific stakeholder engagement sessions. So each group's objectives were met, and we're already bringing people on the journey. So when we did go live with the service desk, people were aware of what was happening, how it was happening, and what the benefits would mean to them. And as part of that, we had a very kind of cheesy video that we launched to all of our colleagues, saying what it means to them, what we're going to be doing, and what they can expect. If you just move to the next slide, Scarlett. Thank you. So we broke that down. So what we advised our colleagues is it's a global team, a regional presence. So we used a follow the sun model. And what that meant, we had 3 locations in 3 different regions. So when one service desk finished, another one would come on and they'd cross over. So really you'd be speaking to people from a similar region or a similar cultural background that may have understand the remits and the style, the way of working, the communication. Especially when people are frustrated, they want to be able to talk to someone easily that understands them, understands those small things in tone or changes in language easy. We had a bit more flexibility, so we could leverage our resources and our people as we needed to. So we've got a higher proven quality and customer satisfaction now that we've gone live as well, and that's something that we anticipated. Better levels of motivation on the service desk, because people were working directly for us. They are able to progress with us. They're able to have training and development with us as a company, and we're able to flex and change without having to change contracts. So we have a bit more ownership on what's needed or required from our colleagues. In terms of measurement, so the thing for us was, how were we going to measure success? What are the key factors for us to say that we've been successful? So one of the learnings was the CSAT score was significantly low. It was about 20%. So our colleague kind of engagement score, satisfaction on how well tickets were resolved. There was a big backlog of 8,000 plus tickets. The process was very unsync between the outsourcer and some of our internal colleagues, and we just didn't have end-to-end management. So these are some of the things that we changed and made sure that we put into place robust measurements around what we were going to measure, how we were going to measure it, and what was going to be successful for us, and what does success look like, and what does good look like. Another factor we did, we had hired and recruited people that had varying skills, varying backgrounds, different socioeconomic statuses, diversity in terms of we had on one of our desks we had 70% females, on another desk we had a 50-50% ratio. Overall on the desk we had a significantly higher ratio of diversity, from not just from a gender perspective, but from an age, a background, walk of life, technical knowledge, which gave for a more rounded desk and a more rounded experience. On our perspective, we've got a big initiative around diversity and inclusion in Essentra, and we believe that having a diverse team makes for a stronger team. So that was a key initiative as well. And one of the factors around that were technology. So leveraging technology, making sure that we're using translation tools, making sure that we have people that speak different languages. So I think throughout our IT function, we have over 30 languages that are spoken. Within the service desk, there are over 17 languages that are spoken. So there is the factor now that people want to ring more often because they're going to be able to communicate in their language of choice, as well as a chat feature that automatically translates to their language of their local site. If we just move on to the next slide. So this is a bit of a journey of what we did. So in 2019 at the start, we started our discovery and due diligence around commercial and legal, what we needed to do from a business perspective, setting up 3 locations from an infrastructure, from a recruitment perspective, making sure local labour laws were right. So there was lots of people that were involved, even from coming out of the historic contract, what we needed to do and the processes and steps we need to follow. And then in January, we started to actually have the launch of the streams towards the mid of January, where each of those streams were responsible for things from people, process, communication. Then we recruited in February, March time, and we started our recruitment process. We confirmed the locations where we were going to be based. We appointed a management team, so this is the service desk managers, and we started to induct and train. And then we worked similarly in that process with the analysts on the desk, inducting and training. Then in May, we run a dual run session alongside the current outsourcer. And then we moved from end of May towards June. On the 10th of June, we went live. And within a few months from October, we saw significant improvements in what the colleagues were seeing. So by October, we had decreased the ticket count by over 5,300. Our colleague satisfaction had increased by 50%, and now we're at 80%. So it was 20, and then it got to around the 70 mark, and now we're at about 80% colleague satisfaction. So massive achievement. We reduced the resolution on tickets by 2 days, so tickets were resolved faster, and 30% more were resolved at first line. And the reason behind that is people started to have a bit more of a business understanding of what that means. People had the access to the people and the tools that they needed, and they were part of the company, so they weren't necessarily working on multiple contracts. And also from a a work-life, home-life balance. People were working shift patterns within day hours and working hours, which improved productivity. So that was a bit of our journey, and on the back of that, we were successful in getting Service Improvement Project of the Year in the SDI 2020 awards. So it's been a great journey. COVID had some impact around how we work and some challenges around moving people to work from home, but everything seems to be worked out well. And now we're focusing on just consistency in our approach, reporting, collaboration, continual proactive management, and just improving our processes. So we've set the foundations now, and we're just now on a journey. So that's a little bit about what we did and how we went about doing it for insourcing. Not sure if there's any questions.
Thanks so much for that, Poonam. We don't have any questions, but if people do have any, where's the best place to reach you?
They can email me directly. So my email is poonam.chauhan@essentra.com, or they can reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Okay, fantastic. We do have one question that's just popped up. Julie wants to know what service desk system you used.
So we use Manage Engine at the moment as our ITSM tool.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your time today, Poonam.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next up we have Neville Ward from Micro Focus, who is going to be talking about how you can prepare your service desk for the next generation of users. How are you today, Neville?
I'm very well, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Good, good, good.
Okay,
Right,
great.
let me just get going. And well, good afternoon now. It's 12 o'clock, everyone. I'll just introduce myself briefly. My name's Neville Ward. I work for Micro Focus.